to the top, but Evan Rajilski with a 19.421. Great time from the 27 machine, and there's your points leader, Tyler Catalano, 19.234. What an opening lap from the points leader.
Oh yeah, that's big because that is what Cisco ran in practice. So he just tied what Cisco's time was, and then right along with him, Tyler Cox also running a 19.23. So these guys are running much quicker than they were in practice, and you just gotta wait to see what Cisco ends up putting in as his time to see if he can jump all of them and better what his time was in the practice.
Identical times for the top two between Catalano and Cox, the 64 and the 2, with less of a difference in them than 1/1000th of a second. And there goes JJ Jensen, the third, in the number 222, 19.343. Billy Kruska finishing up his laps. His lap that last time by was a 19.412. We'll see if he can improve in that number 6 machine. Jason Ricker in the 13, up to 6, 19.421. Trevor Catalano improves on his time, 19.399. Now let's see what Kyle Cisco has. Will he be able to make some waves up at the top of the leaderboard? I'm going to cross turns 3 and 4, and on the front straightaway, cross the start-finish line. Where will he be? Third fastest, 19.240.
Yeah, I'm sure he's not happy with that. It's only 100th slower than what he was in practice, but I'm sure he absolutely wanted to get that pole. So we'll have to see if he can get out there and get another lap in, but I don't think he'll have the time to be able to.
And the 16 going to spin coming off of turn number 4 as Dustin Momberquette. He is not going to improve on his time. So qualifying is over, and a helpful bonus point for Tyler Catalano. He is going to achieve 1 bonus point for grabbing the pole, and that is so helpful because now he extends his lead up at the top of the point standings by 1 point. So now 6 points behind is Cullen Johnston, and he is going to need to improve on that, and worse off, he is heading into the heats as Tyler Catalano, Tyler Cox, Kyle Cisco, JJ Jensen, Dustin Momberquette, and Trevor Catalano all will automatically make their way into the feature race as we get ready for the only heat of the night, heat number 1. Billy Kruska will lead the field to the green flag. Jason Ricker to his outside, then Evan Rajilski and Hunter Azaik make up row 2. Cullen Johnston running for the points championship tonight starts in 5th. Zach Skotnicki to his outside in 6th. Russell Peets, Daniel Hutchins, Jason Hand, James Gerald, Patrick Hosier, and Matthew Lambert, rounding out your 12-car field for heat number 1, and the only heat we will see tonight. Everybody from this heat will make their way into the feature race. This is just going to determine the starting positions from 7th on back once we go green flag racing in the feature.
Yeah, and some stuff I already saw was that Billy Kruska's starting from the pits now, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but he's made the decision to start this heat from the pits.
And that's going to be a good help to Cullen Johnston because that means he automatically gains at least 1 spot, and that is 1 point when he starts the feature. And we've learned track position is so important in this series that whatever position you can get in the feature, whether you do it trying to race your way in the heat, making your qualifying start, or if you do it during the feature, any position you gain is crucial to winning that win. And tonight, it's even more crucial because you're running for a championship if you're the 84.
Yeah, and so I'm sure he's going to sit there and he's going to try to get in front of these two in front of him because, like you said, you have the points leader starting on the pole, so you can't be that far back because he basically, the guy you're running for points against, has control of the entire race, really.
Well, here we go, the final heat race of the season for the East Coast Thunder eSports Tour Modified Series. Pace car is off, green flag racing. The final heat of the season is underway. The entire field dives into turn number 1. Evan Rajilski with a great jump. Jason Ricker now behind him in the 13 as they come off of turn 2. Everybody all good as Cullen Johnston settles into 3rd. He's going to make a move on the 13 if he can catch him, but he washes up the track. Now under fire from the 44 as Zach Skotnick.
Yeah, and here you definitely, that bottom is the only way to go. You're not really going to do anything on that outside, so The moment you get stuck up there, you are stuck, and you can see he's starting to get trained a little bit here, as it looks like the 191 of Russell Peets is now underneath him, and there's just nowhere to go. He's going to have to get down before the 8 gets up there.
It looks like he's going to try to. The 7 are off the track. That's Patrick Hosier. That was on the front straightaway as we got a battle for the lead. Ricker down to the inside of Rachilski. Possibly a little contact, but they're able to keep it under him as the 13 going to go to the lead, barely able to get by him. Possibly a little bit of a tap to the wall there, but as they go on to lap 4, the 13 now leads.
Yeah, I don't think there was any contact. I just think it was some great racing from them. They were able to get close enough to each other to where they both could hold it there and not really cause any action between them. So some great racing going on between the 13 and 27 right now. As we see, the field is kind of single file at the moment, but that 27 is looking feisty there in that second place position. He's really looking to get back into first.
And Colin Johnson in the 84 trying to work on Russell Peets. Johnson currently in 5th, which means he will start 11th in the feature race. And compared to Tyler Catalano, who is racing for the championship, Catalano starting on the pole. So this is going to be a huge downset for that 84 team if they're not able to gain any more positions here in the heat. And right now, they're pretty much stuck between a rock and a hard place, with the 191 pulling away in front of them, and the 29 of Daniel Hutchins making up time behind.
Yeah, and he's lost, 2 positions really from when he took this thing, because there was Kruska starting back in the pits, so he gained some positions there. So, but Colin Johnson's down those 2 positions. He really desperately needs to try to get at least one of them back, hopefully, before this, because every point is just another point that he's down there. But look at the 13 right now. He pulled it away from that 27 when I thought the 27 was going to try and get back by.
And the white flag lap is going to turn to checkered flag. Jason Ricker going to win the last heat of the season. Behind him, it's Evan Rajilski, Zach Skotnicki, Russell Peets. Colin Johnson comes home in P5 with Daniel Hutchins and Hunter Zeik rounding out your top 7. And it sounded like some carnage coming to the checkered flag there. Don't believe anybody really got caught up in that too much. But there goes the 12 of Jason Hand. Damage to the front end of his modified, coasting across the finish line. Let's see what exactly happened here to cause that damage to the 12. Doesn't look like we're going to grab that replay as we move on to the feature warm-up. But your results from that heat are now in. And a great win for Jason Ricker in that 13 as Evan Rajilski finishes 2nd. Zach Skotnicki in 3rd. Russell Peets 4th. Cullen Johnston in 5th. Daniel Hutchins 6th. Hunter Zeik 7th. James Gerald 8th. Matthew Lambert 9th. Patrick Hosier in 10th. Jason Hand in 11th, and Billy Kruska rounds out your 12-car heat grid, as now the 3-minute warm-up is underway before we get going in the final feature race of the season for the East Coast Thunder eSports 12 Modified Series.
Yeah, and something I'm thinking about right here is Catalano on the start. What is he going to do? How careful is he going to be? Because he lost a race last week because of an illegal move before the start-finish line of changing lanes. He got a penalty, was scored as the last car on the lead lap. So is he going to be really careful on the start here to make sure he doesn't push that boundary and possibly get another penalty? Because a penalty, especially at the start of this race, could kill you because you're stuck back in that back in the traffic where an incident could occur, and then you just have nothing you can do about it.
I'm also very curious to know when he's going to go, because the leader has discretion of when they can go between when the pace car pulls into pit road and when the green flag comes out. And we have seen that that is incredibly important, especially here on the USA International Speedway, because the dive into turn number 1 is at such a high rate of speed. You want to have as much speed going into that corner as you possibly can.
Yeah, another thing we saw there, right there with the 191 of Russell Peets actually, was that it's very easy to actually lose your car here on exit, because you're putting a lot of input into this wheel to try to make that turn. If you haven't driven here and you've seen what they do at Martinsville, that's a good example of it, is where your wheel is turned so much to the left that when you try to put down the throttle and your wheel still has that input, it's so easy to lose the back end of this car and be sideways and spinning out. At the same point, it's very easy to correct it over into that wall and push. So these guys really got to be careful in just how they get onto that throttle and just their throttle inputs.
30 seconds left of warm-up. Kyle Cisco fastest, 19.276. Again, Brian, that 62 just so fast. And I'm thinking he might put a wrench in this championship fight because we have seen these guys battle before, but a lot of times battling leads to wrecking. If you're Tyler Catalano, you got to be really careful when you're fighting.
Yeah, I think Cisco, though, we've seen it before, especially last week, where he's very careful around the other guys. He doesn't like to do anything. No one likes to wreck someone, but Cisco especially, he's been pretty nice to the other guys, especially when running up front. So I won't be surprised if we see more of that. So we'll just kind of have to see how the action goes.
Warm-up is done. It is time to learn the starting grid for the final feature race of the season here in the East Coast Thunder Esports Tour Modified Series. Tyler Catalano, your championship favorite, currently holds a substantial points lead over Cullen Johnston. Cullen Johnston still has a chance to win that championship, but Catalano, starting on the pole, has a great chance to run away with it early. Tyler Cox to his outside, then Kyle Cisco and JJ Jensen make up row 2. Dustin Momberket, Trevor Catalano make up row 3. Jason Ricker, Evan Rojilski, row 4. Zach Skotnicki and Russell Peets rounding out your first 5 rows of cars.
Cullen Johnston, your second place points coming into tonight is in 11th with Daniel Hutchins in 12th. In 13th, we have Hunter Zyke. 14th is James Gerald. 15th, your points leader for the first half of the season, really, Matthew Lambert. 16th is Patrick Hosier. 17th, Jason Hand. And in 18th is Billy Kruska.
Well, here we go. The final pace laps to begin the night. And Brian, this has been an amazing 9 weeks of action. And it's all going to come to a close here tonight. In 60 laps, we will have a champion. What are you expecting from tonight's race as we go racing?
I think there's going to be a lot of action throughout the track. I think that action can lead to incidents here. This, of course, is a short track, and we know how they've raced as we've seen them throughout the entire series. So these guys are going to be beating and banging. They're going to be all over one another. It's very easy also to make a mistake and entry here if a car is below you and go down too far and hit them. At the same point, it's very easy to push up on entry and take someone out. So these guys just really have to be careful around one another, or else it could lead to a race-ending wreck.
We are glad you have joined us all season long for the East Coast Thunder Esports Tour Modified Series, live every Thursday night here on Apex Racing TV, and it is time to close out the season. The iRacing.com Ford Mustang pace car down into the safety of pit lane. The final feature race of the season is green. Let's go racing! And
still side by side throughout the field. The 62 of Cisco is effectively pushing Catalano, though, but we have a caution already, so somewhere throughout this field there was an incident, and there it is, the 29, the 191, both having issues. That's Daniel Hutchins and Russell Peets, and that's a lot of smoke. That looks like it's some engine damage there. We'll have to see what happens. It was most likely going into turn 1 is what my guess is. It looks like, oh, a big check up there. The 191 hits the 27 there. Yes, the 27 Evan Rajilski. And then from there, it was just a pile on as there was just nowhere to go.
Thankfully, it did look like only a 3-car incident there. Looked like only a light amount of damage to the 84 of Cullen Johnson. I did see him tap one of the cars that was coming down into him. But I don't think it was hard enough to cause any damage, especially damage that he would need to come down pit road and fix. Peets and Hutchins both are in pit road currently, getting some damage fixed on their Tour Modifieds. It also looked like maybe some contact with the 54 of Trevor Catalano ahead of them might have caused an accordion effect with drivers trying to avoid a possible wreck in front of them from that. 54 looked like he just came down right into the line of Jason Ricker. But the 44 also went down all the way to the inside. Looked like just a racing incident going into turn 1 for the first time.
Yeah, I'm not sure the 54 knew that they were 3 wide there, because that's not a move you see a lot happen here, just because it's such a risky move to try to dive to the inside like that. into turn 1. You can make up positions from it, but it also can cause what we saw happen. So you really got to be careful with moves like that because, again, one wrong move and you're going straight towards a wall and going to be done for the evening.
Well, Tyler Cox was able to get past Tyler Catalano before that yellow flag came out, so he leads the way with Catalano in second. Then it's Cisco, Jensen, and Momberket in your top 5, with Cullen Johnston down in 9th. And as the points score right now, including that 2-point buffer from the bonus points for the pole sitter for Tyler Catalano, that will put Catalano an even 14 points ahead of Cullen Johnston. So I believe Johnston will need to pass Catalano and hope Catalano drops far down the order if he wants a chance at that championship. But as we have seen in all 9 weeks of action here on Apex Racing TV, anything can happen in this series and anybody can run into trouble at any time, anywhere on the racetrack.
Yeah, even up front, you are not safe. We've seen leaders wreck going for that lead, so these guys are really going to be fighting up there. I mean, just at that start, going into turn 1, Cisco was pushing Catalano through the turn, really. So they were bump drafting like it was Daytona out there. So it's not going to be an easy night for Catalano running up front. They're going to be fighting all around him, and he has to be careful not to get taken out, because at any moment he could get in a wreck and end up going all the way to the back if his night ends. So he really has to be careful around these other cars.
Getting ready to go back to racing here. First restart of the night. Tyler Cox leads the way. Catalano to his outside. Watch that 64 machine. Those pink rims, pink lettering. He is the championship favorite coming into tonight, and you can see that white, orange, and black number 84 behind all of these cars. He is trying to get by that 64 and knock them further down the order. As we get ready to go back to racing on to lap number 7 here at the virtual USA International Speedway. The number 2 in control of the field. We are back racing. Everybody going 2x2 into turn number 1. Will we see any carnage? Not yet. Cisco in the 62 rolling through the middle. Great. He is now on the back bumper of the 2, challenging the 64 for second.
I saw a big wiggle there from the 64, I think, coming out of that turn, and almost ended up hitting the wall because of it. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, or maybe he's a bit loose out on that outside, not used to running up there. So, but at the moment, he's stuck on that outside and about to get freight trained. Oh, and he gets loose.
Oh, no! The 64 of Tyler Catalano is around the championship favorite with engine damage as well. This changes everything.
That's very disappointing there for Catalano. I saw it in that turn. He got loose the turn before, and I thought that we might have to worry about this. Maybe he's just not used to running that outside, but he was able to keep it going straight. But then right here, it's what I talked about. He's got that wheel input into it and gets back on that throttle hard. And then especially not if you're not used to running that outside, he just ended up losing the car there and ended up going nose first into the wall.
And I do want to clarify for everybody watching live right now, these drivers do not have fast repairs anymore. He has 0 fast repairs, and with that engine damage, I'm not sure he is going to be in a position after getting that damage fixed to run at least 7 positions over the 84 of Cullen Johnston. Right now, they are 6 positions away. So I believe currently scored, Catalano's still up by 1 point. So Cullen Johnston right now just needs to gain as many positions as he can. Catalano's out of this race right now.
Yeah, we'll have to see when he's able to get back in, because that's not going to be our last wreck of the night. And as long as Johnson can keep his car safe at this point, I think he has a good chance at walking away with the championship right now. He just has to keep his car clean. That's the biggest thing. And he was very close to being in this thing, but he actually was smart enough, and he went around the outside of Catalano there. And I can only imagine what he's thinking when he sees the points leader wrecking in front of him.
So right now, Johnson is scored in 9th. Tyler Catalano scored in 15th. And with the bonus points all accounted for, And currently, best lap bonus points goes to Tyler Cox, and I believe he also gets the most laps led points as of right now. So no bonus points for Johnston. The 1 point bonus for the 2 point bonus for qualifying on the pole for Tyler Catalano. Wonder why the 62 is stopped on the front straightaway. He's waiting for the pace car. It looks like he might have gotten out in front of the pace car for something. No problems with that car, it looks like, so he's going to fall back in line. Back to what we were originally on. Johnston and Catalano now 6 positions in between them. So that makes 1 point that Cullen Johnston needs, which basically translates on the racetrack to 1 position. Then they will be tied for the championship. So Johnston needs to get 7th or higher as they score on the racetrack right now to be your champion. Make that 6th or higher, as Catalano now scored in 14th.
Yeah, Catalano is 3 laps down at the moment, though, so we'll have to keep up with that on if he gets any of those laps back, or if his engine completely blows, because he did have engine damage, but it wasn't a fatal engine completely yet. I'm sure he had to get some damage fixed, and I think he's still in the pits. He is. So we'll have to see how long it takes to get that thing repaired. It might be terminal, we don't know, but we'll have to kind of see if he comes back out on track.
Well, the pace car makes its way through turn number 2. Now the 2 and the 62 in control of the field, with the 16 of Dustin Momberquette in 3rd, and the 222 of JJ Jensen, the 3rd to the outside in row 2. As we get ready to go back to racing, we'll keep you updated on the championship fight and where both Johnston and Catalano are scored on the racetrack, as Catalano is still in pit road, just continuing to lose laps. But we are back to racing on the track with Tyler Cox leading the field into turn number 1. Cisco right behind him on the bumper. Majority of the leaders now single file as they come off 2.
Yeah, I think that they're maybe settling in a little bit. I don't really see anyone side by side back there, so maybe these guys aren't pushing too hard at the moment. You got to go all the way back. It looks like the 48 really is the first person going side by side with someone as he went to the inside of the 8 there. So Matthew Lambert making up a position to 10th place, and Colin Johnston is sitting there in 9th at the moment. So trying to make up those positions to get this championship.
Cisco with the move to the outside. Bold move from that 62. We've seen him work the outside at other tracks, but I just don't think it's going to work here at USA. That dominant line is the inside, and the 2 continues to lead as now the 16 also makes an outside move on the 222 into 3rd. Will he be able to make it work? He was able to make it stick, but not exactly get the run off of the corner that he needed. 222 came up and almost pinched him into the wall, preventing that 16 from getting by on the outside. It looks like the 222 going to run away with 3rd.
Yeah, this is one of those tracks where that bottom lane, if you just sit down there, the only option for the person behind you is to move you, because you're not going to be able to get out there. But it looked like the 2 was into the wall there a bit, actually. So, and the 62 gives him a bump. So these guys are not playing nice right now.
Back to an update on your championship standings right now. Catalano sits in 14th, Johnston 9th. Johnson has not gained any more spots. In fact, he just lost a spot to the 6 of Billy Kruzka, but Kruzka loose off 4. He was able to keep it saved, but Johnston right now is still at least, I believe now, 2 points behind Tyler Catalano, even with Catalano sitting in pit road.
Yes, but a thing with that, though, is we do have a couple lapped cars coming back out onto the track now, so they may be able to get past the 64 of Catalano and be able to make up some of those points for Johnston. So as we have Hosier, Rajilski, and Hutchins all out there, and we'll have to see how long Catalano's in pit road for, because all of them could get positions on them.
Did the 2 of Tyler Cox just spin around? Yes, he did! The leader around on the front straightaway. One of the most dominant cars all night. Spins around coming off 2. He's now scored down in P11.
Oh, it's just a classic mistake. He just, again, it's what we constantly see where, and I've talked about multiple times, where he just got on that throttle too hard with his wheel input, and just, you saw the back end, he started drifting it. And at that point, you have 2 options. You can stay in the throttle and try to save it, which most of the time leads to spinning it out, or you can try to get out of the throttle and just keep the car going forward.
So we're seeing that getting loose coming off of the corners is going to be a threat here also at USA. So the 2 cars spun around, and the 64 spun around. The 64 having worse consequences than the 2, but the 2 is now scored all the way down to 11th, and he is coming into pit road for a fresh pair of tires. But it is going to be extremely interesting now with the 2 fighting through traffic, how much different his car is going to handle with cars being around him as opposed to the completely clean air he had when he was leading the way with the 62 behind.
Yeah, and we have a direct quote from the 2. He said, in exact quotes, "These things are so loose." So that's a direct quote from Tyler Cox after spinning the car there. So we know what these drivers are feeling right now as they're telling us what they're feeling.
Another update on the championship. Johnston scored in 10th. Now Tyler Catalano scored in 15th. So that is a 5-point gap now between Johnston and Catalano. So that means that their total gap in the standings is down to 2 points. So Johnston right now needs to finish 7th or higher if he wants to get this championship. And that is assuming Catalano stays in the exact position he is in. But he is still in pit lane getting his damage fixed. So this is going to be a progressive story as Jason Hand is stuck in the pit wall.
Yeah,
What on earth happened to that 12? Did he misjudge the entry into pit road? I think he did.
Oh yeah, and you heard it. It blew. So that if Catalano can get back out there, that's a spot he can pick up because that's done. That's a blown engine. You're finished. But Hosier's coming up and he'll be getting back on the same lap as Catalano and then passing him shortly. And Hutchins is still out there running laps at the moment to try to make it up also while Catalano is still stuck in the pits. We don't know for how long either, so we'll kind of have to keep an eye if Catalano can get back out there. But Hosier is shortly coming up on Catalano to be able to get that back on that same lap and make that another position between Catalano and Johnston.
And Johnston needs to get up on the wheel right now because we are on lap 25 of 60, very quickly nearing halfway done with this race. Time is going to run out for that 84 if he does not get enough positions right now.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. I think I kind of understand what he's not pushing too hard. We've kind of seen it where he's giving a lot of space to cars and not really getting the chance of really taking a risk and getting into anything. So he's doing a great job in terms of keeping the car clean. The problem is he's losing positions when doing that, and that's not helping his case for this championship.
Well, here we go. Lights out on the pace car. They're going to make their way through turns 3 and 4. The 62 of Kyle Sisko in control of the field. The 222 of JJ Jensen, who is outside. Then the 16 and the 54 in row 2. Making up row 3 is the 13 and the 44. Back to racing at the USA International Raceway. Sisko with a great jump. He already has a solid 3 car lengths over second.
Yeah, that was a great jump there. He went really early. You saw as soon as the pace car pulled off. And the 44 of Zach Skotnicki is around right now. So having some issues there in turn 1. We don't know if he just got loose or maybe a little bit of help is what I'm leaning towards right now as we're taking a look at the replay. And it looks like he just got a little tag from the 92 there of James Gerald, and it just sent him around.
Not only is that another spot for Colin Johnston, who is now 1 point behind Tyler Catalano, that is more time for Catalano to get his damage fixed if he can get back out on the track at all. So that is going to be interesting to see if the 54 can get all of his damage fixed and make up any positions on the racetrack, as he is currently 19 laps down, about to go 20 laps down, scored in the 15th position, still in pit road, now over the 11-minute mark, down getting damage fixed. Yeah,
and the biggest thing there is we don't know. That's one of the hard things that we can't tell you if that's terminal damage or not. It didn't sound like it. He was able to drive it back, which usually it doesn't mean, but the damage model in iRacing can be so varied on how much time you need to fix something. You can range, I've seen engine wrecks be anywhere from maybe 3 minutes all the way up to, I believe when it blows, it's about 36 minutes, I believe. So it can really vary on how much it is needed. So we'll have to see how long it takes for him to get back out on track.
So Kyle Sisko leads the way, JJ Jensen in second, Dustin Mombercat third, Trevor Catalano fourth, Jason Ricker in fifth, James Gerald sixth, Billy Kruska seventh, Matthew Lambert eighth, Colin Johnston ninth, and Hunter Zyke rounds out your top 10. And Brian, once again, Sisko out in front, and he is currently dominating this race once again. And we've seen once he gets control of the race, it is very difficult to get by him.
Yeah, and we've seen it all over the place that it's every time the leader, whoever's leading, has control of the race, really, it's so hard to get past because a lot of these tracks we go to are just bottom lane tracks. And really your only way past is to give that little nudge or wait for them to push up. So he's very much used to this position, and I expect him to be out front and way in front of these cars very quickly.
So Sisko leads the way. Catalano still in pit road. Johnston sitting in ninth, just needing a handful of positions to make his way into the championship lead. Right now in front of him, it is Matthew Lambert, Billy Kruska, and James Gerald. Those are the cars he needs to get by to make sure that he guarantees himself that championship spot as long as Tyler Catalano stays in pit lane. So this is going to be an intense battle for this championship. Just Johnson needs to gain as many positions as he can, but right now he is either staying in the same position or dropping positions. He is not going the way he needs to for this championship.
Yeah, and I really don't know what's going to happen right now. I mean, this thing is so close. We're talking about just a few points where, like we mentioned, there's still lap cars running, so we don't know if they'll get passed or not in time or what's going to happen, but it's going to be interesting to say the least.
Lap 32 of 60, going green on to lap 33. The field back through turns 3 and 4. Pace car back down into pit lane. Sisko choosing the outside line for this restart. He's off and away. Right on the back bumper of the 222 is the 16 of Dustin Mombercat. He wants that second spot, but the 222 gonna hold on to it. He gets loose and he's around on the inside. And Johnston was almost involved in that one. He gets away clean and gains another position. He is now up to 8th.
Yeah, and that's big because now he's starting to really make up those positions as these guys wreck out. And I talked about it. He's keeping the car safe, and that's what's important right now. As we saw, there's a little bit of touch there side by side, and the 222 went for his tilter whirl around there and ended up hitting the inside wall. Spinning back out, getting hit again. So, but great job for the guys behind to not really get involved with that as much.
And that wreck honestly looked like the wrecks we usually see here in this series, where it's just the tiniest bit of space is taken up by one of the cars, either on the inside or the outside, and that just leads to the cars getting upset or contact, and that's what leads to these wrecks, and cautions breed cautions. We've been saying it for weeks now here on Apex Racing TV, and they still continue to breed cautions as we race here on the racetrack. But Colin Johnston in 8th now. Tyler Catalano is still in pit road, 15th. So as they are scored right now, I believe Johnston is 1 point behind Catalano, but Catalano would win the tiebreaker, so he needs to be at least 1 point ahead instead of just tying. So Johnston needs to get up to 6th, which means he passes the 6 of Billy Kruska and the 48 of Matthew Lambert. And the quicker he can do that, the better off he'll be to hopefully try and beat Tyler Catalano off pit road, because I do believe he can exit pit road at some point. He can get his damage fixed. It's just a matter of when and how fast Catalano will be and how many positions he can regain.
Yeah, and it's going to be so tough. I'm wondering, You know, I'm thinking about it. Maybe he's really just sitting in there right now, just gaining as much as he can. Maybe he's allowed to come back out on track, getting some optional damage fixed possibly, and trying to keep his car safe really, because if he's still in the points lead, there's no need to rush it out, because at the moment he's so many laps down that he's not going to be able to get caught back up anyways. So maybe being in there is the safest thing for him, because it really takes away the chance of him losing many more positions other than the lapped cars behind him still running.
And if he does stay in pit road, he is going to lose the ability to make up those laps, because he is 28 laps down. The next position he can make up is up to 14th of Jason Hand, who is 14 laps down. So once 14 to go hits, Tyler Catalano has zero chance of passing Jason Hand on the racetrack. And I believe already right now, if anybody else wrecks out, they are not going to, if they go into pit road, they're not going to be a position lower than Catalano right now. So I think 15th is pretty much the guaranteed position for Tyler Catalano right now. He just needs to hope Cullen Johnston gets caught up in a wreck here.
I think Hosier was closer than that to be able to possibly get that spot from him.
Showing for me, Hosier is still in pit lane. And he is on the same lap, so Hosier can get that position, but he is still in his pit stall. And I believe he had the same amount of damage that the points leader had of the 64 of Tyler Catalano. But back up to the front, Cisco on the outside, the 54 of Trevor Catalano on the inside. Right back to racing, the 62 with another great start. Down to the inside goes the 62, running that dominant line. The 54 of Trevor Catalano also running the inside. The 16 lose contact for third.
These guys are just beating and banging all over the place. And look at that, the 48 right there making a great move. He's up to fourth now. He is stuck on that outside though, so he's going to need to get down to that bottom to keep it safe. It looks like he's going to be able to, so now he can kind of just hold that bottom, and he's holding fourth at the moment, while the 92 and 16 are still getting close to one another.
Oh, that 92 really wants that position, but the 2 so fast, even on the inside. The 2 able to get by. Now he's going to fight that 16. Cox in 6, Momberket for P5. Now Momberket's going to make a move on Lambert, trying to grab P4, and Tyler Cox is going to go with him, a 2-for-1 special.
Yeah, these guys are just fighting right now. You can tell it's less than 20 to go. They want these points, and the 2 bumps the 16.
And Cullen Johnston able to get by, but that's not going to help him that much, because he also dropped positions there. He is back down to 8th as we're under caution once again. What happened between these 2 cars on the racetrack? It looked like just contact from the 2 twice there, actually, as Momberket looked like he might have washed up the racetrack in the middle of the corner and ended up getting contact from the 2 behind.
Meanwhile, Colin Johnston's still sitting at 8th at the moment, so still very close. He's going to really need to make up at least another position, if not more, to be able to really get this championship. So it's go time for Johnston. He can't sit there anymore. He has to push and just hope that luck is on his side.
So we're going to be going green with inside 15 to go. Johnston in 8th, Catalano in 15th. Right now, 7 points separate these 2 drivers, which means, I believe, if my calculations are correct, they are exactly tied. So Johnston needs 1 position. I want to make sure my math is 100% correct here, but I do believe that the 84 just needs to gain 1 more position, and he does have the points lead.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to do unless there's an incident. I can foresee an incident happening on that last lap, possibly, that'll allow Johnston to be able to make up some positions and possibly get the championship just based on a last lap wreck.
Yes, so Johnston currently is tied with Catalano, so he just needs 1 position. and he has this championship clinched. He just needs that one position. He needs to keep that position throughout the end of this race. So Johnson scored in 8th. He needs to get by some very fast race cars. The 92 of James Geralds is in front of him. The 6 of Billy Kruska, the 48 of Matthew Lambert, all cars that he is going to have a chance to pass here once we go back to racing. But that is so important that the 84 of Johnston is able to get by him as the 92 and I believe also the 44 make their way down pit road.
Yeah.
Curious to me, the only car towards the front of the leaders that has come in is Tyler Cox, and he got fresh tires, and he's making those tires work. Back to you, Brian.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really going to be that big of a deal, though, because we've had so many cautions that you're not really putting too much stress on these tires, so we'll kind of have to see. I mean, it's probably got a little bit of help for him, but we knew he was fast to begin with, but he's coming up on the leaders, and that's really going to see if those tires really matter, but I don't honestly think they do. I think he really just pitted because, well, he spun, he was at the back, there's no sense in not pitting at that point, so other than that, I don't think with the cautions they really matter that much, honestly.
Lights back out on the pace car, getting ready to go back to racing. We're going to be going green on 13 laps to go. On board with the 84 of Cullen Johnston. One position is all he needs, and then he needs to hold that position until the checkered flag comes out. Then he will be your East Coast Thunder eSports Tour Modified Series champion here tonight. But he has to get by a lot of fast cars, including the 6 in front of him, the 48, the 2, and the 13, all ahead of him, and all have a chance of getting by him. So here we go. Back to racing we go. What will happen in the fight for the championship? Cisco leads him into turn 1. The 54, Trevor Catalano behind. Everybody able to make it through turns 1 and 2 fine. There's Tyler Cox on the outside. He's not going to do much. We'll see exactly where Cullen Johnson is scored when he comes across the start-finish line this time by, but the 48 making a move on the 6.
Yeah, and it looks like Cullen Johnston is still sitting, I believe, where he was back in 8th. There was a decent gap to Dustin Momberquette, so I don't think he's really in a position to get that, but it also looked like he had a decent lead on the 8th, so there really just isn't a place for him to go at the moment, so he's probably trying to look to make anything up at the moment.
He could use another wreck, but as these guys single file out, I'm not sure it's going to happen, at least almost immediately, with Cisco still leading. There's the 84 of Cullen Johnson, and that gap just keeps widening between him and the cars in front of him as 2 cars battle behind him. The 8 and the 44, they're looking at P9.
Yeah, and we know that 44 is quick, even though he's had some incidents, so he might be right up on the 84 pretty quickly, depending on how long the 44 and 8 battle was. It looked like they're Cullen Johnston pushed up possibly, so that's really going to be something to look at right now.
That could help him be able to reach him, especially as the 48 ran the outside line there, loses a bit of time. Will he be able to catch him? 9 laps to go. If Johnston's going to make a run for this championship, he has to make it now. As you're looking at the battle for P2 between Trevor Catalano and Jason Ricker, and make that Tyler Cox as well. 3-man battle with the 13 to the inside for second.
Yeah, I think Tyler Cox just almost tagged the wall again, or did tag the wall, so that's something to keep an eye on too. But I think as this goes, the better chance there is of someone making contact with one another, because their patience is going to wear thin, and you can see it. The 13, I definitely think is quicker. He just about sent, it looked like the 13 got loose.
He's now under fire from the 6 of Billy Kruska. Could this be great for Johnston as he is sitting back watching all this happen? The 13 tried to move in the line, not able to make it happen. The 16 is right there.
Yeah, and the big thing though still is Cullen Johnston isn't really in pace to get anyone at the moment. So Cullen Johnston's still sitting there tied on points, and I think the tiebreaker would go to Catalano because of wins, if I believe correctly. So Cullen Johnston has to make up one position.
Tyler Cox got loose coming off of 4, able to hold on to it. Now here comes Billy Kruska looking for P3, but Trevor Catalano doing a great job at holding on to P2, and Johnston not able to go anywhere right now. Over a second between him and Matthew Lambert for 7th.
Yeah, and if a wreck happens, I think it's going to come from that group where the 2 is in, because the 2 is getting loose and battling these guys, and he could potentially get below someone and get loose underneath them and take them out that way too. So we'll have to see that. Oh boy, that's close.
He made it stick, but Catalano loose. He's now going to fall victim to the 6 car. Billy Cruzco looking for his first podium of the year.
Oh, and the 16, there it is.
The 16 into the 54, no caution with 3 to go. The 54 gonna fall all the way back to 7th. Where's the 84? Is he gonna have a chance to pass him? Here he goes! Cullen Johnston to the inside of the 54! Not able to get the spot!
Wouldn't it be something if he has to pass Trevor Catalano to get the...
He's going for it! He wrecks it! The caution comes out. Was the 44 in front of him? Was the 44 in front of the 84? No, he wasn't! Johnston takes the points lead as we go into overtime!
That's gonna be some controversy there. Oh, I mean, this is what happens in these big race moments. He sent it in there to just try to get underneath him, and the 54 wasn't gonna have it. I think it's a little bit on both of them. I think the 84 did push in deep, but the 54 was trying to shut that door, so I think it was a move of desperation there, and it just ended up costing the 54 more than it did the 84.
We always ask drivers, what are you willing to do for the championship? That right there, wreck one of the most dominant cars of the season to have a chance at the points championship. And as they score right now, Johnston leads the way in the points championship.
Now, the thing is, he has to hold on to it now, is the big thing. We've seen him lose positions multiple times on restarts. He can't do that now. He has to hold that position exactly. So, and we saw it there. That wreck really started all the way up front. The 54 was able to save it. Great driving on him to get it going forward. And then I think at that time, he might have been hurt a little bit. The 84 smelled blood in the water. He knew he needed that one position. He was going for it with all it took. And you can see he's looking inside the whole way here. He sends it. The 54 tries to close that door. And at that point, there was contact made.
What an intense championship battle this turned into. I'll be honest, we were talking before the race. We thought it was going to be a walkaway victory for Tyler Catalano, but over the course of 60 laps, we went from Catalano leading by 7 points to now him being in the pits, wrecked out, with Johnston leading by 1, needing to hold on to that position to win this championship. How quickly things turn.
Yeah, now the thing is, Johnston doesn't want it to change at all here in overtime. I actually would worry for Matthew Lambert here on the start, because we've seen now Johnston, he's pushing, and if he lets off the gas now that it's overtime and gets past, it would hurt him probably more than anything. I would rather lose by 100 points in a championship than by 0. The amount of pain that would cause, I can't imagine that. So you know Johnston doesn't want that feeling. So Lambert's going to be starting on the outside in 6th. Johnston is going to be going for that position right now.
Well, we will be going into a green-white checkered attempt, which is overtime. They're going to take the green flag, then they'll take the white flag, then they'll take the checkered. After 2 laps, then if there is a caution on that green flag lap, we're going to rack them up again. We have 3 attempts to get to the white flag. Once we get to the white flag, the checkered flag will end the race once they come across the start-finish line the next time by. So this is what it all comes down to, a possible final restart, not just for the final win of the season, but also for the championship, as the 84 of Cullen Johnston just needs to hold on to 7th. He needs to finish where he is or further up for the championship. A quick reminder from Billy Kruska, the race control director, that no changing lanes before the restart. We saw that be an issue on the overtime restart last week. So here we go. Cisco on the inside. Tyler Cox on the outside. Kruska and Momberket make up row 2. Green flag back out. What is going to happen for the win and for the championship? Cisco with a 2-car length lead heading into 1 against the 2 of Tyler Cox. The 48 to 13 battle behind. And here's Cullen Johnston trying to make a move on Lambert to solidify his championship. Down into 3. He needs to worry about the 92 and the 44 behind him. White flag one more time around USA. This will be an official race. Cisco leads. Cox behind in the 2. Will Tyler Cox be able to make a move for the win? They are right on each other's bumper into turns 3 and 4. Cisco is gonna grab the win at USA, and your East Coast Thunder eSports Tour Modified Series champion is Cullen Johnston.
Amazing job there to be able to hold it off. I got worried for a second because if you on that last lap coming to take the white flag out of 4, there was a big checkup that happened in front of the 84. And so I thought he was going to end up getting slowed down enough that the car behind was going to jump to his inside, but he was able to hold it off there and able to come away with the great finish to be able to pull off the championship. And Cisco again also, I got worried there for a second too coming to take the checkered flag because Cox was right there on the bumper. It looked like he was going to try to give it to him, and it looked like he sent it in there on that last lap. When he came across the line, he was wrecking. So big incident there for Tyler Cox too, but he left it all out there trying to get that win.
I don't think we could have written that finish any better than we did. We are waiting on the official points standings, the final point standings from Race Control, but we do believe taking the championship by 1 point is Cullen Johnston.
Yeah, everything's unofficial at the moment. We have to get the official word from Race Control there, but what an eventful night of racing. I mean, we saw different leaders throughout the night. We saw a points battle where the leader coming in and the favorite at that point, who sat on pole, wrecked out and couldn't get back into the race. He had engine damage and wasn't able to get back out there. He was done. All he could do is sit there and hope that Johnston wasn't able to make up the positions. And so this is some of the most dramatic we've ever seen in a championship battle, where the leader, the points leader, wasn't even out there to battle.
What a story for tonight as Cisco grabs the win with Tyler Cox in second, Dustin Monberquette in third, Billy Kruska fourth, Jason Ricker fifth, Matthew Lambert sixth, Cullen Johnston in seventh, Zach Skotnicki in eighth, Hunter Azaik ninth, Trevor Catalano in 10th, JJ Jensen the third and 11th, James Gerald in 12th, Evan Rajilski in 13th, 14th is Jason Hand, 15th Patrick Hosier, 16th Tyler Catalano, 17th Russell Peets, and rounding out your 18 car field is Daniel Hutchins. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back with the post-race show here on Apex Racing TV. You do not want to go anywhere. Interviews with the top 3 in the champion are coming up. Championship night concludes here at the Virtual USA International Speedway. We're glad you're back with us here on Apex Racing TV for the post-race show of the East Coast Thunder eSports Tour Modified Series. After 10 weeks of action, a champion has been crowned tonight. It is Cullen Johnston. Cullen, congratulations on this championship. An awesome fight tonight.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of a tough fought battle there, and kind of lucked out that Tyler got in some incidents, which I didn't want to see. But thank you guys for congratulating me there.
And tonight's double points also really helped you out there. 13 points ahead of Tyler Catalano. What were your thoughts early on in the race on lap 8 when you saw that 64 just go spinning right in front of you? And that's basically your championship contender just right out of the race with engine damage right then and there on the front straightaway.
Oh, I was just thinking that I didn't hit him myself there when it came off the turn, because he kind of came across to where I had to move a little bit too to miss him. And I just want to go out and say I'm sorry about hitting Trevor there. I didn't want to wreck him either tonight. Feel bad about that one.
10 total starts this season. You've been here week in and week out. 2 top 5s, 7 top 10s, 472 total points. Was this the capitalization that you were looking to put on this season here in the East Coast Thunder eSports Tour Modified Series?
Yes, this is why I was here every night. I was just trying to race for points, race clean, and try to come out on top at the end of the season, which is what happened.
Anyone else you would like to thank here as you sign off for the season?
Yeah, I want to go ahead and thank Willem for putting on this league, and thank Tyler for a great points battle there right to the end, as well as Matthew Lambert. And thank you guys for broadcasting all this.
Cullen Johnston, your East Coast Thunder eSports Tour Modified Series champion. And now Brian is standing by with your race winner from tonight, the 62 of Kyle Cisco.
Kyle Cisco coming away with another win tonight. Great battle all night there. Cox gave you a shot there at the end, it looked like, but you end up coming away with the win. How are you feeling?
I feel pretty good. You know, we showed some speed in practice, and throughout qualifying, kind of qualified, missed a little bit, but I think we had the speed all night. We decided to stay out only because with all those caution laps there, but it was a good night.
Now, you were up there when the early wreck happened with the 64 towards the front. What was your thoughts when you saw him start to wreck beside you? And we saw a couple of the wrecks start up front, really, because Cox also had an issue.
Yeah, we were coming off the corner there side by side, and I think he just got a little free and lost it and clipped me. But luckily, we didn't get any damage, and we were still able to roll. And then we were kind of just pacing ourselves behind Coxie there in the beginning, and kind of just letting him set the pace. And I guess he pushed it a little too hard and got the right rear a little hot, got a little free, and spun out there, and we got the lead and just kind of set our own pace there and saved some tires for a little bit, and then kind of made a charge there on that long green flag run where we had our, the most speed. And at the end there, Cox definitely gave us a run for our money. He had pit for some tires, so he kept us on our toes on that last restart.
Coming into that final lap, were you expecting maybe a little bump coming your way, thinking how aggressive Cox had been to get back up front there after that spin?
Yeah, it doesn't seem to matter where we go or whoever I'm around. If me and Cox are racing together, we usually run pretty clean, and I got to thank him for that once again. I think we put on a good show all year when me and him run together, and like I said, I just got to thank him again for that.
Yeah, it was definitely a great battle. Well, this is our last time here for the season on Apex Racing TV. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I got Kyle and Bill White watching. Thank them for tuning in. You guys for everything you do. It was a fun season. Wish I could have ran the whole season with you guys, but unfortunately, real life racing gets in the picture sometimes. But sometimes that's for the better, and we just come out and play when we can.
Yeah, and that is Kyle Cisco, your race winner, having an excellent season this time. Sad he couldn't join us for every race and have a chance at that championship, but a great season nonetheless for Kyle Cisco.
Thanks, guys.
Now,
Yeah, moving on now to your P2 finisher, Tyler Cox in the 2 machine. Tyler, arguably the fastest car on the racetrack. It seemed like that car would just go anywhere you put it down on the racetrack, but with an unfortunate spin towards the middle of the race, that set you back. Talk about that race from your perspective. You fought back really well, though.
Yeah, I was just, I don't know, pushing a little hard at the beginning, and you kind of had to wrap the yellow line. I kind of caught the apron and stall spun and didn't get, I think I had like 0.2 seconds of damage, so it wasn't any damage, and then got tires and then drove back through the field, and I kind of humdinged the 16 car there. My teammate of Dustin, he was in Discord with me, and yeah, I pulled a little oopsie and drove her in a little too hard there, and might have forgot to use the brake pedal, but that's all right. He wasn't too mad. So yeah, but then we got back up to the front, and I could have shipped Cisco going into 3 on the last lap, but that's not how I wanted to race, and that's not how I race. So so I'm happy with the P2, especially for the night that we had. It was an all-around, go-around sort of night. It was like a carnival ride, you know. It was pretty rough.
And you had such a fast car, and you were able to grab the pole going into. Sorry, you didn't grab the pole into tonight, but you were able to grab the pole last week. And every week that you were here towards the end of the season, you were just extremely fast. Was it heartbreaking to be put down the order, not have a chance for that win coming late in the race?
A little bit, but it was also fun racing back through the field with some of those guys in the middle of the pack and up towards the front of the pack, like Dustin and William and Jason Ricker. So those are a couple good guys, and I really enjoy racing around with them. And obviously Cisco, we've had some pretty good battles this year.
Anyone else you would like to thank before we let you go for the season?
Yeah, you guys for broadcasting. You guys have done a great job for the, I think, 4 or 5 races that I've been here. William for putting on the league. He does a great job every single week. All the guys that ran the league, it was a lot of fun. Got to thank Everett's Auto Parts, Modern Auto Body, Bernie's Liquors, Ryan Kuhn, Jason Ricker, Real Life Crew Chief, and just everybody that's been a part of this year. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, your P2 finisher, Tyler Cox in the number 2 machine. Brian, you have P number 3 finisher, Dustin Monberquette.
Dustin Monberquette coming away with a 3rd place finish tonight. You had a very eventful evening, though. Talk about your race and kind of how it went while you were bouncing around the field, really.
Yeah, it was definitely an up and down race. As soon as everything happened at the start, I honestly thought my night was done, but we just kind of kept digging, just trying to recover the best we could, and it worked out.
Now, you saw your fair share of incidents there. Did you think that the race would kind of calm down as it went along, or were you just kind of focused on your own race and trying to avoid everyone else's mess?
I was just trying to keep my nose clean, kind of stay out of their deal and just kind of keep doing my own thing, but there was a few times that I just thought we were done, somehow made it.
Now, coming up to that last restart, you have the podium in sight. What was your mindset going into that to try to make sure you got that good restart and were able to come away with 3rd?
Well, I was hoping that Kyle was going to take the outside and help me out there, but he took the bottom, so I just knew how to do everything I could to time it to where I'd just get a good enough run to clear William into turn 1, and it worked out.
Well, while we're here for our last time on Apex Racing TV, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, first and foremost, I got to thank Ryan Kuhn Motorsports. He's done so much for me in my sim racing career. I got to thank Thomas Axum. He's helped a lot. Tyler Cox, my teammate Jason Ricker. You guys for putting this on. William for putting the league on. I just can't thank everyone enough. Thank you.
Well, that was Dustin Monberquette, your 3rd place finisher. A good run, and congratulations again, Dustin.
Thanks, guys.
Boy, just what a season of the East Coast Thunder Esports Tour Modified Series here. And Brian, you've been with me for the 9 weeks that we broadcasted of this series, and it seemed like, even though we might have had a lot of wrecks, we might have had a lot of cautions, a lot of pace laps to deal with, but it truly felt like the racing got better and better every time that green flag dropped every single week.
Yeah, they kind of started to get more comfortable. We did see a lot of cautions, but that's really just what this series is, because it is a short track. It's with these cars. You're going to see a lot of cautions. Even in real life, that's kind of how it goes. So these guys put on a great show for us with some great battles. And especially the drama towards the end of this thing, where the points favorite comes in, takes the lead on the pole at the start of the race. He's up front. He has control. All he has to do is keep his car there, and he spins it out and puts it into the wall nose first and isn't able to get back out on track. The drama that just unfolds because of that, I don't think you could have scripted it any better. That was some intense racing at the end.
And it has been just an intense season, and that championship fight really came down to the final feature race, which was, like I said earlier, you could not have written a script better than what happened here tonight. And I think truly, when consistency comes into play, Cullen Johnston was consistent every week, consistent finishes. He never missed a beat. I think we definitely had the most deserving champion out here.
Yeah, and he may not have been running up front all the time, but we talked about one of the biggest things is consistency. He was here. He was running decent. He was up front. He was avoiding some of the messes others were that put him out of races. And he's able to come with the win in the championship because of that. So that's really what you look forward to. You can go out there and win as many races as you want. You say you win half the races. If you go out and wreck out of the other half, you don't have a championship. So it's one of those things where being consistent and being up front is more important than really winning races if you're going to wreck out of the rest.
We thank every single viewer who has tuned in week in and week out here on Apex Racing TV for the East Coast Thunder Esports Tour Modified Series. For Marco Barbonera, Brian Delp, I am Joshua Lee. Thank you for tuning in all season long, and we hope you subscribe and tune in to other races here on Apex Racing TV. And we are saying goodbye from the virtual USA Speedway.